Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tinnitist TV. Today I've got a real treat for you. I'm talking to Shooter Jennings and Yelawolf. You know, sometimes things happen when they're supposed to happen. Case in point, Wolf and Shooter's new collaborative band and album Sometimes Why. The roots rocker and the southern rapper have known each other for nearly 15 years and actually moved in the same Nashville circles since childhood, but it took them until 2020 to finally pull the plug and get in the studio together. The results are more than worth the wait. Sometimes Why is a blast of classic 80s inspired arena rock. It's like a long lost artifact from some world where Night Ranger, Tom Petty, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Cheap Trick, David Bowie, Funkadelic, and Ram Jam all made an album together. And if you talk to Yelawolf and Shooter, as I did recently, it was apparently just as cool to make as it is to listen to. With the album out now and getting great reviews, Yelawolf and Shooter joined me in the Zoom room to chat about collaborations, taking their act on the road, how long they're going to make us wait for the sequel, and a whole lot more. Enjoy. Well, Shooter Jennings, Yelawolf, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. It is a pleasure to either meet you, Wolf, or talk to you again, Shooter.
Man, awesome
Yeah,
to be here.
pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. So the album's been out now for a couple of weeks and it's been really well received. I know you guys probably don't care too much about what other people think, but did you expect the reception that it's got?
Man, I really keep my nose out of that. Shooter is more like, passive with that. Like I ingest too much, you know, 1,000 great comments, but one bad one, and that one bad one is all I'm going to think about for 2 weeks.
Really?
So
Even at this point in your career, it still gets to you?
yeah, of course. Yeah, my music is, I love what we did and I'm proud of what we did. And so I just let Shooter tell me how it's doing. Like, I mean, literally, I haven't had social media apps on my phone for almost a year now.
Well, good for
So
you,
like, I
man.
don't even, I checked out completely. It helps me to make better music, I believe, if I just like, you know, keep
Okay.
my,
But Shooter,
just keep
obviously
my focus
you've
on it.
been looking. So what do you
Yeah, I
think
look,
about
see, I'm kind of protected, and this is why I think I'm able to look and go through it all, because for in this case, Yellow Wolf being the front man, it's like he's got this whole contingency of people who are like being given this new step in his life. For me, like it, it's kind of a win-win in the situation, because like I'm kind of backing him up with the music. So if someone's critical of it, and there's that stuff's out there, I really don't feel like it matters, because to me this was such a pure experience. And when I listen to the record, I'm able to listen to it a little objectively, because I'm not the singer, I'm not the vocalist on it. Like and I'm able to kind of I guess I'm able to kind of separate it. Sometimes with my records, it's hard for me too, because I get a lot of personal digs, and when people don't like my shit, like it gets pretty hardcore, and so I can't always do that. But with this, I've been able to really go through it and really absorb how people have reacted to it, and kind of know when they haven't really listened or when they have. But I do feel like we both knew when we got done with it that we had done something really special, and that was a really good rock and roll record, which is pretty rare these days, in my opinion. And I think we felt like, regardless of the reaction, I don't think we really care so much what people like, the criticisms, as much. It's we knew we made something that was really enjoyable of an
Yeah,
experience.
we like to chime in what he's saying. Like, also, like, he's right. We loved it so much, and what I think for me, agreeing with him on this too is, and to add on to what he's saying, is like, for me, I just was like, man, I hope so much that they get it. I hope that they understand what we did, because we fully understood what we were doing. It was no accident. It was very intentional. It was very, like, you know, it made perfect sense to us. And we were just, when I threw it out there, I wanted it to connect, you know, and so,
Right.
and I hope that it is connected.
I think so. But, you know, at the time you went into this, you guys must have had some sort of thoughts or ideas about what the other one would be bringing to the table and how this would work out. How did the actual experience sort of compare to what you were anticipating?
Man, nothing like I anticipated. I honestly, I had no idea what I was stepping into. Like the first time first time at that studio, first time meeting the band entirely, you know, and not knowing what was about to happen, not knowing the music, not even knowing what music we were gonna make. You know, we had a couple demos and a vibe, and we were just like, fuck it, let's go for it. So every song was like a discovery, you know, and discovering ourselves, and then discovering, hey man, we're a band. Like, you know, that like we awakened to the whole idea of what it was. Kind of, we were just like brought together, you know, and it was like, here in this room you will do this, you know. and we didn't know it, but you know, the magic of it was just, it's precious, man. Like you know, the friendships that were forged, and you know, the family that was forged, and the band that was forged, and the music that was forged. And you know, now we're just like forging all the fans.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was, you know what it feels like? I've tried to explain this a bunch of times, Yelawolf, but I just, in my mind, had the weirdest image of it. But it's almost like me and this band had been wandering bards through the wilderness for hundreds of years until we stumbled across this fucking magician dude. He's like, he's like, oh yeah, this is the guys I've been looking for. And then we get in there and we're like, boom, it all like exploded, you know? It really felt like that. Like that's the magic he's talking about. So it really felt like something special was happening. And it felt like, for the first time, like it felt like a band like Radiohead or something, like where all these people were just throwing all this magic into this stew, and it was really working really well. You know, it doesn't always happen like that. It's never happened like that, honestly. So it was pretty amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, from what I understand, you guys did this whole album in 10 days.
Yes.
And so it's 10 songs. I mean, were you literally cranking out one a day, or were you doing even more than that we still haven't heard?
Oh, no, we did a lot more. We did like 25 tracks, and then we narrowed them down to 10 by the end of it. And he had the majority of the vocals and ideas there done, but then he went home, you know, perfected all the little nuances and recorded those at home, while I added some synth stuff at home because I knew I didn't have to do that in the studio time. But basically the soup to nuts of it was 10 days.
And let me add that this is they're a phenomenal group of musicians. Like I've never witnessed. I mean, like, you know, Shooter, Jamie, Ted, John, and I'll even say David's engineer, because David like engineers on the fly and does a lot of effects on the fly, and he like plays the board even. But these dudes would just like map out an idea and run full takes. So yeah, they were cutting like, we were, you know, we come up with an idea and they would fucking 1, 2, 3 bang it out, you know, and it'd be done. I mean, it took as long as the song plays to actually record it, you know. So they were doing like full songs, and you know, however long the song was, just like one take, you know. They would go back here and there and maybe fix something, but typically they would just cut these ideas. So they were cutting 2 and 3 a day, man. And I'm sitting over there with a fucking pen, like, oh my God, trying to, you know, keep up with all this shit.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that's a lot of pressure to have to, you know, crank out that many lyrics that fast, right?
Well, I mean, you know, it was like I would voice some idea, and they'd be like, oh yeah, we got that, done, you know. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going outside. I'm gonna go right now, you know, like, you know. So they're just proficient at what they do. You know,
so with another 10 to 15 songs in the can, what's going to become of those? Is there going to be another album, or are you going to use those for B-sides, or do you know?
We have them, but we're going to go do another record just like we did this one. You know, we want to there's no reason to turn the camera around. You know, we kind of want to keep it pointing forward. And but I mean, like, it's amazing. He says that like that, but when he comes up with an idea, like, it would be, I almost was like, man, did he, like, what has he got going on in his head? Is there like another person with a radio in here? Because like he would say something, like we'd have a track and he would instantly do this melody thing, and it would be like timelessly classic melody that would just be like not totally original, not anything I would ever think of, but like he's making this up on the spot. And like you know, like, yeah, like little lyrical nuances he added later, but the majority of these massive hooks and melodies were he was coming up with them as quickly as we were cutting these tracks. So it kept blowing my mind, like what a good melody, kind of like, it was almost like he was Elton John and Bernie Taupin at the same time. You know, he'd like come up with this melody, and then all of a sudden he'd come up with these great words, and all of a sudden we knew what this song was going to be, like Make Me a Believer or Radio or Moonshiner's Run, or, you know, whatever else we were making up on the spot, Rock and Roll Baby. Like he was just crazy to watch, you know.
Yeah, well, you guys have both done a lot of collaborating with other people over the years. What's the secret to making it work?
Trust, I think.
I think that's a loaded question for me. You know, our collaborations typically in hip hop, you know, in my earlier career can be very like strangers. You know, it's just like emailing shit. You don't even ever see them. You know, like you do a track and then they show up to the video and you shoot a video and they never leave their trailer. You never even meet them, type of shit. It's very like, it's not personal. And you know, a few times that I have had the opportunity to do collaborations with a producer or, you know, producers earlier in my career, those personal experiences turned into the best records. They always do. And you know, a collaboration like this is definitely trust, but it's also earned. It's like you earn each other's trust. I had to earn the trust of the band, and I don't know if I know this to be factual, but I felt like I especially had to earn John and Ted's trust, and even though if they didn't feel that way, I that's how I. But that earning that trust gave me the hunger. It gave me the sense of like, oh man, I'm gonna prove to everyone here that, you know, I'm worthy of being in this room, and I'm worthy of creating this record with you guys. And so, and yeah, that's kind of my take on like collaborations.
Yeah.
What about you?
I agree, you know, but I don't think that I think John is in particular, I think everyone was excited. John in particular was very excited from like day one, because he just wanted to meet you, you know. There was like a whole thing
he
there.
just
He was like,
he's just got a cynical sense of humor.
Yeah. They're you know, you like, they could come off like judgy motherfuckers, all of us can, because it's like, but you know, at the end of the day, man, it was like an instant thing. Like I remember I think it was the very first day we did Hole in My Head, and you were in the vocal booth doing something. I remember everybody looked at me like, God, what a fucking good singer he is, you know, because I knew he was a great singer, but people just don't normally associate it. Like I feel like that he's sung all over so many records, but people don't realize the level of a singer, you know, that he is. And but man, it's all about trust, but it was also about like mutual respect and excitement. And at this point, Yelawolf and I had really talked a lot, and we both had this like bubbling up excitement of what was going to come out, because we just knew we were on the same page in so many ways for so many years. And we were like almost like the same person in a lot of ways in our childhood and the stuff we liked musically. And so that kind of just, it all just kind of.
Yeah. And
you guys are the same age. You're both. What did I read about you going to the same church as children?
We were like passing like ships in the night until we actually like hung out.
It was really, really, really strange. It was like for all intents and purposes, we should have met as kids. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't have met as kids. But here's the cool thing about it. Like, because our parents were either artists or in the industry,
Right.
it kind of strips you of your childhood in a way. And, you know, so we're like big kids. We'll always be big kids because now we get to live our childhood as adults. We get to exploit gaming or music or movies and all those things that were kind of like not taken away, but just a little undermined when we were younger, or at least I can speak for
Yeah,
myself. And
100%.
so so when we so when and it feels like we get to be this album and all that. This is like getting just to be a kid again, man. I know it's like, for me, it's like, man, this is so fresh. I needed this in my life. I needed this breath, you know. So when you mention us going to the same church, and you know, we didn't meet as kids, but now we get to like exploit all the shit that we missed as
Yeah, it's like
kids,
finding a new
you know.
brother all of a sudden, right?
It is.
Yeah.
100% is like that.
Uh,
You know, I needed it too, you know. I needed this satisfaction and this layer of brotherhood too. It was a perfect situation, you know.
Yeah, well, and I mean, given that, you know, you guys have known each other for so long now, it's nice that it worked out too, because if you had gotten into the studio and just, you know, butted heads and made like 10 tracks of shit, you know, things might not be so friendly right now, you know?
Man, it there was no way that was gonna happen. There, like by the time this happened, like we were just like, how good is it gonna be? That was kind of how we felt. Like we, you know, we knew it was gonna be good, but we were like excited to see how far we took it, you
So
know.
where do you think you can take it to next time then?
Shit, man.
Who knows?
I I can tell you, like, just from from a from a from a writing standpoint, lyrically, melodically speaking, that I discovered something on this record. So my voice has already matured, and my confidence has also matured, and I think that's going to have a really big impact on the next record. You know, and also the acceptance has
Mhm.
given me a lot of, you know, by the fans, and you know, from what Shooter tell, you know, these awesome reviews that are coming in, he tells me about. I'm like, oh man. So that, for one, is gonna really impact the way that I, you know, where I go next vocally and melodically and lyrically and all that stuff. But I think as a band, because we were just discovering all these new vibes, that we're just hungry to do it again. You know, we sat on that record for 2 years.
Yeah,
You know, it was done, and so we've been actually hungry for a while.
I bet.
So
Now you just have to convince Shooter to tour again now.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do shows. We're gonna do stuff. I that's why I'm not doing my thing, is so we can do this thing and you know, really able to have the breadth. Like we're going at it in a different way. But the cool thing is we played our first performance the other day in Nashville, and we did Make Me a Believer. It was a surprise at a thing that I was doing, and it was like this power just came down, you know, for us. Like it was just so cool. So now we're like finding these ways to get out there in front of like the right crowds, because that's the thing. Like people have to absorb this, and we have to play in front of people who are gonna fucking love this. So it's really
yeah,
important that we tread lightly but rock
yeah.
powerfully.
I'm glad you brought that up too, but because we haven't really addressed this in an interview, probably because we weren't asked in the right way. But it's definitely you know, for the people that are going to see this interview or hear this interview about touring, that's it. It's not that we don't want to hit the road, and we've done that for so many years. It's like making this crazy, for us, it's like making this crazy film, but it only premieres at one obscure theater that no one goes to. You know, it's like, and that's not what we want for the film, so to speak. You know, so we want to pop up, metaphorically speaking, in the right theaters, um, and and try to present it in front of the right crowd. Because man, I've made the same mistake in the past. You know, I've done full tours as an opener for the wrong act. You know what I mean? And it hitting the road doesn't always necessarily mean it's the right thing. You know what I mean? Like we've learned that, you know, as mature artists with a wealth of experience, that it's important to have a little bit of strategy, you know, and, you know, hopefully get that rad opening spot for like, like GNR, or, you know, or like just somebody gnarly, you know, and give it the best opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, you know, I did this record years ago called Black Ribbons. And I remember I took it out on tour and people did not know what to fucking do. And they were like leaving in droves. Now I get like, they come back, have come to absorb that record, and people love that record. And it's one of the ones that's given more to me than ever. You know, but that's definitely what we didn't want to do, is go out and have people showing up expecting a Yelawolf show, and here we are doing this rock and roll thing, or vice versa, my thing, and it being, you know, not what they expect. So that's why it was like, it was really important to take this approach, almost like a band like Garbage. Like when they kind of came out, like there was a lot of people in that band that had fans from other directions and things, and but it was important that, you know, they got in front of the crowds they were aiming for. So we're working on that, and we got a lot of cool things coming up, and we're at the same time, like, we're doing more material because we want to have a catalog, you know, and we're on a creative high at this moment, especially with this all out as a band. We're really clicking together, so we're working, you know, but we're taking an approach that I think is a smart one as far as how we're gonna, because we want to be right, like you said, right there in front of that right audience, and just bring the house down, which we know we can do.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll say 2 words and then I'll let you guys go, because I know you have other people to talk to. Canadian shows.
We'll come there.
All right, man. Listen, I could talk to you guys all day, but I know you got to go. Thanks for your time today, and thanks so much for the music. And I am already looking forward to the next one.
Oh, thank you, man.